starting our new series called Holding Anxiety Together. And I didn't want to just jump into anxiety, so I thought we'd do a little fun activity. So we're going to do a poll. So we'll start with the first question. What's your biggest pre-event trigger? Is it what to wear, being on time, or directions and where to park? Okay, so if it's what to wear, raise your hand. What? I am what to wear. Okay, being on time. That never crosses my mind. Okay, and what about directions and where to park? That's a big one. Okay, question number 2. If your anxiety had a personal theme song, it would be Help by the Beatles, This Is Me Trying, Taylor Swift, or If the World Is Ending by Bruno Mars and Lady Gaga, or Stressed Out, 21 Pilots. Okay, your theme song. Would your anxiety be Help by the Beatles? Okay, what about This Is Me Trying by Taylor Swift? Yeah. If the World Is Ending. And Stressed Out. All right, this is all pretty even. Thank you for doing that. But we all experience anxiety, but we all don't experience it in the same way. And so some of you, like right now, you might feel it in your body. Like, oh, we're going to talk about anxiety. You might feel it in your chest, in your shoulders, in your neck, in your back. Your heart might be racing. You might have tense muscles or restless energy. Some of us feel it in our mind, like with our racing thoughts, or we have insomnia and we can't sleep, or we have trouble focusing, or other times it just shows in your actions, like wanting to hide or avoiding things or feeling irritable. No matter how it shows up, I want us all to know, and I'm trying to tell myself too, that our anxiety is valid. We have been through and are going through a lot, and we can't assume that all of our anxiety is experienced in the same way. And how God created us to be emotional beings, and He created us for safety and security. And so that desire that we have for safety and security is God-given. It's a good thing. And our fear that we experience when things feel not secure and unsafe, that is a good thing too. Fear is also God-given because it alerts us to danger, whether it's real or perceived. And anxiety is what we feel and how our body responds to that fear. And worry is what happens, what lives in our mind. So how do we explain anxiety? Inside Out too. I mean, we could talk about what the American Psychologists Association says, but come on, this is the best way. They are so good. Okay, so I'm going to show you a clip. I hope I don't shut you guys down, Westlight Live people. But I'm going to show you a clip where, if you guys haven't seen it, there's a teenager, Riley, who's coming to age, like she's growing up right before our very eyes. She plays hockey, and she's at this hockey camp. And on the way to hockey camp, she learns that her 2 best friends are not going to be at the same school she's going to be at. And when she gets to hockey camp, she finds the girls on the team, they're really good at hockey. And those girls are going to be at her school. So she's like, oh, I have my old friends. I got to make new friends. I got to play well. And so we're going to see a little bit of her anxiety attack in this clip. And we'll have a good idea of what anxiety looks like and how it operates, how it lives in us.
Anxiety, stop! Anxiety? You need to let her go.
Oh my gosh. Let's all take a deep breath. Whew. I love anxiety. That is me. Is that, guys, you? Like, your face is like, and then I'm running around like a tornado, and Stan is my joy. Lori, we need to let it go. You can't control everything. But, she's thinking, anxiety's telling her, if you just score this goal, it's going to solve all your problems. You'll have all these friends. And I was like, no, we can't fix it. And I love how Joy runs in and she tries to tackle her and stop anxiety, but we can't stop it. But what Joy does is she doesn't shame her, But did you see how she saw her? She steadied her, and she helped her to let go. Because eventually in the clip, I didn't want to make it too long, she let go of the control handle. And that's what holding anxiety together looks like. We can't stop it, we can't make it go away, but we can hold it together with compassion. So this is a really helpful image when you're like, what was holding anxiety together look like again? Remember joy and anxiety in Inside Out 2. We don't try to make it go away. We don't try to avoid it, and we don't shame it. We notice it, we hold it, so it doesn't take control. So it doesn't define who we are. So it doesn't shape how we treat others or drive the decisions that we make. In her book, Black Liturgies, Cole Arthur Riley writes, "We don't have to demonize our fear to survive it. For this reason, I have an aversion to language of conquer your fears." Sorry. Conquering our fears. We are not at war with ourselves. It's better to listen with compassion. Isn't that so impossible? I mean, it's so good. It's so important. But our goal is if we can listen to our anxiety with compassion. So when we're anxious, though, we want to, our body just wants to build fences. It wants to rush to react. It wants to run around and control everything. And pausing to listen to our anxiety is like one of the last things that we want to do. It's one of the hardest things that we want to do. But this is how we hold our anxiety together. And this is Jesus' invitation to us. Now, talking about anxiety, I kept going on my study and I kept running across Matthew 6. And I don't know if you argue with God, but I'm a third child and I'm stereotypical. And I'm like, no, Jesus, I'm not speaking on this. And then here we are. We'll go to Matthew 6. Because it just brings so much anxiety in me. And so I'm like, okay, I've got to listen to my message. Why do I feel so anxious? And so Matthew 6:25 says, this is Jesus' words. So I'm like, okay, it must mean something. He says, therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body or what you will wear. Is not life more than food and the body more than clothes? Does that give you guys anxiety? Right? I know I'm more important than the flowers and the birds and they're free, but I am never, ever, ever going to be like them. And so when I read this passage, I'm like, I'm bad. I'm not good enough. I'm never going to measure up. What you tell me to be, I will never be. I'm going to struggle with anxiety when I get to heaven. I'm pretty sure. And so the Greek word for worry is anxious, and it says to be pulled apart, to be drawn in opposite directions. And I'm like, okay, I care, and caring is good, but anxiety is like the shadow side of caring. And so, when you read in your Bible and the heading literally says, do not worry, I'm like, no, it makes me worry. And I'm like, I don't want to study this. But then as I was reading it, I was like, what if Jesus isn't being prescriptive? What if he's not saying, do this, be like this, will yourself into being calm and free like the bird and the butterfly and the flowers? What if he was inviting us to trust? What if it's an invitation to trust? And so I talked to someone and I'm like, do you think this is an invitation to trust? And he's like, yes. And then he told me and I was like, oh, that's awesome. But we're going to study Matthew, right? We would just finish Matthew 1 to 2. We're going to study it later, so we'll let Kotz explain it. Just trust me. He said it's about trust. Okay. So what if, it doesn't. What if Jesus isn't about us willing ourselves to be without anxiety? What if do not be anxious is just an invitation to trust him, to listen to our anxiety, which will reveal what we care about, what we're longing for, and what we're trying to protect. We're trying to protect something. And so Jesus isn't minimizing our fear. He's inviting us to not be pulled apart and to trust him. And to remember that this do not worry thing means that we could trust him and that he's holding us and he's caring for us and he's with us. And when we don't feel held or cared for or secure or seen or safe, that's when anxiety takes over. And I think Jesus knew exactly what he was talking about, because in Matthew 7, next slide, he talks, before when I read this, I'm like, this is so random. What are you talking about? I'm so disrespectful. But I was like, but it just makes sense, because he talks about do not judge. When we are overcome with anxiety, right, or we're run by it, we move to all or nothing thinking, right? We're all bad, or we're all good, or we're all right, or all wrong. And we make the other person, we judge them, and we make the other person bad or wrong, so we feel safe. So what are we trying to protect? We feel safe. We don't feel good enough. And then he talks about ask, seek, and knock. And I thought, that was random. What are you talking about? But I'm like, oh, when we're overcome with anxiety, don't we feel alone? Don't we feel like the weight of the world is all on us? And he's like inviting us to trust him, like ask, seek, and knock. And then he talks about the narrow and wide gates. And I'm like, what's that? And I hope, I'm like, we all want the easier path. We don't want to pause and reflect on what our anxiety is telling us and to listen to it with compassion. We want the quick fix. We want it to be done. We want to get rid of it. That is the hard way. We want the easy way. And then he talks about true and false prophets. When we are overwhelmed with anxiety, we are looking for security and comfort. And if the false prophets are teaching us something, you're like, it's going to be so easy. You don't have to do anything. Trust me. We are going to go for it. We are going to be so vulnerable. We're going to listen to them. And I'm like, oh, this is what happens when we're overcome with anxiety. We become so vulnerable. And then in Matthew 8 and 9, I love how Jesus isn't shaming us, but he's naming what he does. And so in Matthew 8 and 9, we go through a whole list of like people who are dealing with illness. That is real anxiety. That's real fear. Death of loved ones. That is real fear and anxiety. People who are dealing with financial security, physical security, people dealing with spiritual oppression. These are all people who go to Jesus, who are looking for relief, who are looking for security, and they have anxiety that they want to go away. And Jesus doesn't shame them, but he listens to them with compassion and grace. He never minimizes their fear, and he never expects them to trust before or to be calm or not to worry and be like the flowers and the birds until they experience his love and compassion. And then I think about how, he was fully human. Jesus was fully human and fully divine. With every reason to feel fear, we know he felt fear and he felt anxiety, but he never was driven or consumed by them. And then my growing up, I can hear all my Sunday school lessons. I think, oh, but I'm not like him. Like he was a non-anxious presence. I'm a very anxious presence, and I can never be like him. And then the shame starts taking over, and then I start being like anxiety. But it's like, no, like maybe it's not be like me. Like transformation, it takes time. It takes years. Maybe Jesus is telling us this because he is our non-anxious presence, and he is the one that we go to. He is our strength, and he is our security, that we can find that in him, not in the way, not in our world, and not in the people, not always in the people around us. We're always going to experience anxiety, and it's messy. Becoming like him is messy, and it takes a long time, and it takes little baby steps. But it starts when we experience his love and his goodness and his faithfulness. And so our anxiety reveals what matters to us and what we need and what our heart is longing for. And when fear arises, we often believe we have to control it, or control our family, or control our friends, or the people at our church. But control, it doesn't work. And Jesus invites us to see our anxiety, to hold it with compassion, and listen to what it's protecting. So I just want to say that again, that holding anxiety together means noticing it with compassion, listening to what it reveals about what we love, and learning together to trust Jesus with what we can't control. So rather than trying to fix our anxiety this morning, I wanted to invite us to do a simple practice of noticing our anxiety. Okay, I just said that. Everyone take a deep breath. I know no one wants to notice our anxiety. We're going to hold it together. Take a deep breath, y'all. Take a deep breath. But we're going to just try this simple practice together. And if at any point you feel uncomfortable, or even now you're like, I'm not doing this, that's totally okay. There's no wrong or right way to do this. Choosing not to participate is still participation. So in a moment or so, I'm going to invite anyone who wants to, we're going to form a circle around the center section. So we'll be in the back, and then the aisles, and then in the front. And so we'll just form a circle as Westlight Community. Ken, you're our newest member. And I have a rock. And this rock is from my garden. And it's going to represent our anxiety that we're just going to hold with love and compassion. And as we stand in the circle, say if Steve is next to me, if I feel comfortable, I'm going to say, Steve, this is my anxiety, and I'm going to name it. And then Steve will say, we can go to the next slide. Steve will say, by the grace of Jesus, I will carry this with you. And this is just symbolic. I don't expect Steve to solve my problems. He doesn't have to call me every day and say, are you okay? It's just a symbol that we are a community, that our anxiety is ours, but it also affects us as a community and affects us in the wider community. So it's just a symbol that we're gonna hold each other's anxiety in the next 5 weeks. Take a deep breath, you guys. Okay. So I'm going to pass it to Steve, and he's going to say, Lord, by the grace of Jesus, I carry this with you. And then Steve will go to the person his right, and he'll say, my anxiety is this. Or if he doesn't want to share it, he doesn't have to say. But then the person next to him will say, by the grace of Jesus, I carry this with you. Any questions? Okay, then when we're done, I'll just close in prayer. But take your time. If you're waiting and people, are like taking their time, that's totally fine. You can pray. You can just take deep breaths and think, okay, why is my chest so tight? Or, think, what it is? Pay attention. Like, what is your anxiety? Or if you see someone, you're like, oh, I could pray for them because they're probably going through a lot of anxiety. You can do whatever you want. This is your time with God. Just say this to the person on your left. Okay, so maybe if we could play the music. And then if you want to participate, we'll make a big circle here. Maybe we could dim the lights. Zephaniah 3:17 says, the Lord our God is with us, and he will quiet us with his love.